Hello, we've gone live, I see. Good evening. My name is Fiona Robertson. If we've not met before, then I'm Fiona Robertson, and I'm known as the Body Renewer. I'm also known as the Detox Diva, and now I'm going to be guiding you through this evening how to live a life without diets. Most people, when they think about living a life without a diet, they worry that then that's going to mean that they're fat and unhealthy. Diets have become so much part of our life now that we are not free to choose what we feel is right for us, but more of what we're remembering of all the good foods and all the bad foods and all the considerations that everybody else has been putting out there. There's a whole industry to do with what foods are right for you, what foods are wrong for you. And the only person who really knows what's right for you and what's wrong for you is you. And this is the difference in the perspective that I'm going to be offering to try and guide you through with a very quick start to that tonight. And this is what I'm all about, is getting you to actually feel what's right for you rather than trying to remember all the foods and superfoods and times that you're supposed to, all the rules that are out there about diets. So that's what we're going to be discussing this evening. So I hope you stay with me. I hope you answer the questions that I'm going to be putting to you this evening. And we're going to be doing a short little demonstration that you can join in with to actually see how it changes your perception to do with living a life without diets. I wanted to start by saying that diets for me may mean something slightly different to you. It's how we perceive something. A diet for me is certainly, when I say the word, when I think about a diet, it's a very much of a quick fix. So therefore it's very much a short-term solution. It has for me, it has like a blip of energy. So it's something that's very short-lived. And it's something that we use a diet to provide us with a solution. So most people are looking for the solution and we turn to a diet to try and get it. And there's numbers and numbers and various types of diets out there. And we're all trying all of them to try and reach the solution that we're looking for. The solution that we're looking for on one scale is to change our body image. And basically we're changing our body image because we're not satisfied with ourselves. We don't feel good enough. So we're looking to fix ourselves by turning to what we eat, because we think what we eat has the biggest impact on our body image. So we're going to be tickling around all those kind of areas tonight and just see what we come up with. I never know when I'm doing a talk like this exactly where I'm going to be led and in what direction it's going to come from. So we'll just see how it all turns out. I have some notes, obviously, but sometimes it takes on a life of its own. So we'll just see where we go. What makes me qualified to talk about living a life without diets, or even anything to do with diets? Just like any woman, any person on this planet, we know what diets are. And I was introduced to dieting, I reckon, quite early, about 12 years old, probably is one of my first memories of, oh, right, so if I give up sugar, right, so if I do this and I do that and do the other. So then I was getting a very clear view of what was good and what was bad. For all good intents and purposes, because people don't want you to sort of, gain weight or be uncomfortable and those kind of things. It was very much told to me at certain times, you've really, really got to be very careful at this particular age, because it stays with you for the rest of your life. And, what has stayed with me for the rest of my life is that, it's necessary to be on a diet. Our society is based around formulas and plans and thinking and getting us to do things in a certain way. And dieting is certainly one of the biggest ways that we do that. We're very much in our head trying to remember all the lists of foods that we should and shouldn't eat. So then as soon as we have something, we automatically judge it as good or bad. And therefore we're sending that energy into our bodies as well. If we're judging something as bad, then we will be taking on the bad vibes. So our thoughts sometimes are very much more toxic than anything to do with the food that we're about to eat or that we've just eaten. So yes, I was introduced to dieting very early on, and yeah, that's kind of stuck with me. I've certainly had, done the high fiber diet and all those kind of things when I was younger. And it wasn't until I was going traveling around the world in 2003 that I stumbled upon detoxing, and I stumbled upon raw food, and they worked for me like any other diet initially. And sooner or later you find out that you aren't necessarily doing that for the right reasons. You're doing it again as something to try and fix you. What I've done is I've taken, for me, a little bit of probably all the diets I've done to find out which bits actually work for me. But it's very much of a mishmash, and it changes on a day-to-day basis, which I have to be able to tune in and find out what is actually working for me on that day. I certainly do eat a lot of raw food. I do eat a lot of fermented food, and I do detox regularly, definitely in springtime and in autumn. Those are it's what feels good to my body. So that is what I am promoting and what I am doing for myself. And certainly what you need to do is find out what works for you, rather than trying to follow what somebody else is telling you. All the diet books and all the magazines out there, all the the fitness magazines and natural health magazines, they're all promoting what foods are good or bad. So I'm asking you just to be wary and be very, very aware of where you're coming from and what works for you. I don't need to go into any particular long history about all the different diets that I've been on, or all the different ways that I viewed my body. It has always just been something that I've been very, very conscious of, and then using this to mold myself into something that I think would be more attractive or get more attention. And ultimately being loved more and feeling safe by being loved more. So ultimately you have to look at what the reasons are why you're doing something. So if you're trying to change your body shape, why is it that you're trying to alter your body, and what will that actually bring you? Yeah, it's such a huge subject that the longer you continue on this particular road, along this particular path, the more confusing it gets, and the less confidence you then have with what is going to work for you the next time or this time, and all the doubts come into your mind about, God, I wonder if this diet is going to work. Or you hear about something and you see somebody has had some good results, so you're immediately looking for the quick fix, looking for the magic button that's going to be the magic button that almost resets you down to zero. And you kind of think, well, if I can get back down to zero, get down to my size that I want to be, then I'll start looking after myself. I had a conversation with somebody recently, and he said to me, I wish I knew I was going to live this long. I would have looked after my body a little bit better. And I wonder how many other people feel the same way. If your body can give you confidence, and I know for a lot of girls and women and ladies that I've spoken to, that I've had at the retreat, and that I've detoxed and I've helped or coached with, the body and your body image is seemingly what seems to give you confidence. What if you could find that confidence? What if you could be fulfilled in other ways other than looking for changing your body shape? And what is the paradox, that side of things, is when we're not fulfilled, we're looking for food to fulfill us. So not only are we looking to lose the weight so that we can change our body image, so that we can feel comfortable in our bodies and confident and get up and do all the things that we really, really want to do. So by restricting our food and going on a diet, that'll give us the confidence. And, you know, then we'll feel satisfied. And again, what I'm just repeating again is, and the other side of that is when we're not feeling confident and when we're not feeling happy in ourselves, we turn to food for comfort. So it's really, we've really got both sides going on at the same time here. So it's just a whole big confusing mishmash. I've read many of the raw food books and diet books that are out there, and certainly as I followed some of them, maybe further on YouTube and things like that, I've noticed that even they have started moving away from being solely raw food, and they have also found a different way that resonates better for them on a whole picture kind of thing. So they're not strictly staying on raw food as a religion, which is sometimes when you find people who are on a particular diet, it becomes very much a religion for them. They cannot bend, they cannot move from that particular diet. It becomes a little bit scary that what if I do come off this diet? What if I do stop doing this? I'll just become fat and unhealthy. And this is the main fear, which keeps people very judgmental and very stuck in their particular diet mentality. When we are following a particular formula, being on a diet, when we're following a plan, we're trying to remember the good foods and which are the bad foods. This is an energy that's very much all to do with the head. Now, our society is very much to do with the head, and we're taught to remember statistics, and we're taught to remember certain amounts of information that need to be in this particular area of the body. And, you know, when you're trying to deal with something like the body that is physically changing all the time and morphing and changing and trying to go with the flow, and you're trying to regiment it and put it in a box and make it very strict to do with a plan, a formula, and remembering exactly what you can and can't eat, and then judging when you do eat something that's off the list, you're kind of you're really going away from what your body naturally wants. There is a communication that goes on between the head and the body, and the body is there telling you all the time what is right for it at any particular moment. And what we're not able to do yet is tune into that, so that we're actually very much more aware of what our bodies need. You could be remembering a time when you were craving a particular thing, and it was coming from your body. Now that can either be because your digestion is a little bit out of whack, so you're craving sugars and alcohols and cakes and the pastas and everything else. It's craving a lot of the sugars that the gut bacteria are actually asking you to feed it, and the way it feeds is off those particular kind of foods, very high sugar foods. I remember a time when I was craving seaweeds and things. I had no idea. Wow, my word, I'm just so loving seaweed. I just absolutely, it's just fulfilling me so much. I couldn't stop eating it for maybe a period of about 2 weeks or something. I wanted to have it with everything. And then at the time I was going through some changes, and I went to have my thyroid tested, and they were looking at, you're deficient in your thyroid. And I asked, what kind of things might help. And I asked a friend of mine what might be able to help. So we brought it down to certain things. And, one of the foods was seaweed. And I happened to have seaweed, and my body was just telling me the right thing at the right time that would work for me very, very well. So that's just a very, very simple example of what can actually work for you very well. Normally I would go into lots of explanations about how the gut works and everything else. But tonight I'm really trying to take it from a different perspective. So what I'm trying to explain to you here is you've got the diets, which is very much a head-based energy and a very head-based mentality. But what we're trying to get ourselves into is actually what is going to work best for you and what is going to work best for the body. Now, what I bet none of you have ever done is kind of said, okay, body, what do you want? What kind of foods do you need? Or what would nourish you rather than eating this? So if that's all that's available, and then just say, well, you know, what is it? What would really nourish you? And when I talk about nourishment, I'm talking, when I'm talking to my clients as well, I'm not necessarily talking about nourishment just in vitamins and minerals and all the nutrient side of things. I'm talking about real nourishment, nourishment from a whole other realm of possibilities of what would nourish us, from the temperature, a color, a place, a view, where we're sitting, what we're doing, how we're relaxing, and those kind of things. All these kind of things nourish us. And I have a lovely client, and she is a very sensual lady, and she's into music and a musician, and she works very much with her hands, and she enjoys very much the sensations through her hands. But for a while, she was only getting her sensuality and enjoying things with things that she was eating. So we discovered the textures and the temperature and the flavors and all those kind of things. And when we asked her body what else would be equally as fulfilling instead of eating, it was really to sort of have those stroking and you know, she loved textures and material and all those kind of things, and she was forever touching things. And so instead of eating, she's found another way of actually that she's naturally doing it. So she really pays attention to the fabric that she's wearing or materials that she's surrounded by, and naturally she was doing that, but she really wasn't mindfully appreciating all the things that she really, really loved. So once she found her way to really, really loving what was around her, it was just so, that's not very good English, not so necessary for her to be eating the textures and things that she felt that she craved, that she was missing. So these are what we call missing nutrients. And this is something that I do with my clients, as I bring you down to find out what your missing nutrients are, and then how you can fulfill yourself from another place. Okay, I've got some questions for you tonight. If you're ready to play, we can go through some questions, and I'm going to invite you to consider in the next few questions and take some time. If you've got some pen and a paper and you want to write down your answers to these questions, I'll give you the time to do that. And I'd really love to know what the answers are. So if you find yourself answering your questions, then send me an email, let me know what your answers were to these questions. And it's just for you to dive a little bit deeper and just start to understand for yourself where you're coming from. So if you're ready, we'll ask some questions. Okay, so this is part one. All right, so if I was to ask you, what is your biggest issue when it comes to your body? And I mean physically, and I mean energetically, and I mean on a mental level as well. So what is your biggest issue when it comes to your body? Physically, energetically, and mentally. You only need to write down a few things. All right, second question. If I could wave a magic wand, like fairy, if I could wave a magic wand, and you could have the things the way you wanted, what would that be for you? Keeping on the theme of your body. A life without diets brings up very much to do with thinking about our bodies and what would result if we lived a life without diets. And what I'm proposing to you is that we can. So if I could wave a magic wand and you could have the things any way you wanted, what would that be for you? All right. Third question. When it comes to your body, i.e. again, mentally, physically, or energetically, what is your biggest frustration? When it comes to your body, what is your biggest frustration? Okay, next question. In the areas of your body that you've chosen, where do you get stuck? So just remember the answers that you came up with before. So in the areas in the body that you've chosen, where do you get stuck? Next question. What is a specific result that you want to achieve? And you could answer this for all three. You could answer this physically, and you could answer this energetically, and you could answer this on a mental level as well. What is a specific result that you want to achieve? Okay, next question. How stressed are you about this situation, and can you give it a number from 1 to 10? So 1 being relaxed, so therefore you wouldn't be stressed about it at all, would you? And 10 being like hyper stressed. It's really on your mind a lot. It's causing you a lot of pain and a lot of concern. So how stressed are you about the situation, and can you give it a number between 1 and 10? What if you could let go of all the preconceived ideas of your body? For example, if you were the only person on the planet and there were no mirrors, no magazines, no TV, or no people to compare yourself to, how would you feel about your body in that space? I'll ask that question again, it's a long one. What if you could let go of all the preconceived ideas of your body? If you were the only person on the planet, there were no mirrors, no magazines, no TV, or people who you could compare yourself to, how would you feel about your body in that space? And how does that answer make you feel? How does that answer make you feel? Does it have a word, an emotion, and a feeling that's linked to it? So how does that answer make you feel? If you didn't have to compare yourself to anybody, you didn't see any mirrors, didn't see any reflection, no judgments, no comparisons. Okay, that closes the question section, and maybe that's given you a little bit of insight, and I would love to hear your answers. So just send me an email to info@retreatbiarritz.com with your answers, and I would love to take you further on this path, and I would love for you to contact me, and we could have a it's a focusing call. It's taking questions like this and it's just focusing you and finding out the areas that just can be so much easier for you, that can be resolved just by changing your perceptions about something. I invite you to give me a call. I invite you to send me an email. I would love to spend that time with you, just going over some very pointed questions to help you feel much easier about your perception about a life without diets. Let's call it that, shall we? Okay. What I'm trying to do with you tonight is get you to be in a slightly different place, or a much better place than you have been ever, so that you can start to perceive yourself and this whole need to be on a diet from a different place. That's my intention. That's what I do with my clients, and that's who I am. I just challenge you very gently to get you to come from a different place. Okay. The next section of this evening's call is a kind of cool way of doing things. And this is a journey that I take people on when they're in calls with me, and I'm going to do it with you tonight. So again, like the questions, write them. You don't need to write anything down, but this is for you to experience. So I'm going to ask you to get relaxed, to sit in your chair, just to feel very comfortable, not disturbed, and just start, if we could just start by breathing quite deeply and easily. So just square yourself off, round, relax your shoulders, relax your arms, and just get yourself into a place where you can breathe easily. You know you're not going to be disturbed. Maybe we've got about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. I'm just going to take you on a little journey. So as you are in this place, just really, really take longer, deeper breaths. Every time you take a breath, just make it that little bit longer and that little bit deeper, so that your diaphragm's really filling up your belly with air. If you're comfortable, just close your eyes. By closing your eyes, you're allowing yourself to focus on the inside rather than on the outside. The breathing deeply, bringing yourself very relaxed. And if your mind is still analysing and questioning, and where are we going to go now, and what are we going to do, and just bring the energy that's analysing and questioning and judging, just bring that energy down through your head and bring it through your neck. Be aware of that particular energy and bring it to rest on your shoulders. Again, take a deep breath. Know that at any time you can pick up any of the questions that you've got in your head. You can collect them all later. And again, bring the energy further down into your body, around about the chest, into your upper tummy, solar plexus area, just here. I don't know whether you can see it, just here or in your chest. Just see whether you can bring your consciousness, your awareness of your energy that was in your head, to bring it down into your body. Concentrate on your breathing. Concentrate on your heartbeat. Just relaxing yourself into this particular zone. Waiting for my next question. You can be aware that you've dropped your shoulders. You can be aware of the temperature in the room around you. I'm going to ask you to go and find a place that would represent a safe place for you. So this might be a fictional place, or this might be a place that you already know. Maybe somewhere that you're already familiar with. Take yourself in this relaxed state to your safe place. See yourself in this safe place. Absorb all the energy around you. And know that while you're in this place, you cannot be disturbed. You don't have to have facial expressions because nobody's going to be looking at you, and you don't need to respond to anybody. You're on your own. Know if you're inside or if you're outside in nature. If there are any sounds, if there is any smell, textures, just be very aware of where you are. Again, just see whether you can notice any more noises, any smells, what the temperature's like. Are you lying down or are you sitting? How does your energy feel? If you can, be aware of what your energy in your body feels like. Is it light and bouncy? Is it heavy and sleepy? Is it slow? Is it fast? Does it have a particular vibration to it? This is your energy when you're in your safe place. And it's for you to get to know how you feel. See if you can feel this safe place and where this safe place is within your body. Where does it sit? Where's its home? So that you can go back there at any time. You're in your safe place. See whether you can feel your energy, and see whether if you can feel where that energy sits inside your body, so that you're very familiar where that safe place is, where its home is within your body. And now that you are relaxed and you're in your safe place, I'd like you to just judge if you can gauge how much more relaxed you are. So, being in your safe place, how relaxed is your body out of 1 to 10? 1 being super relaxed in your safe place, and 10 being hypervigilant. Oh, crazy. Great, good work. Now that you've found your safe place, and again, if anybody wants me to do this again with you, I'm perfectly happy to do that. Just let me know. So being in your safe place, it can take some practice to find and see clearly where this place is. Sometimes you need to tune into it several times and find it a home within your body. So slowly but surely, come back into your place for this evening, where you've chosen to be in front of your computer. Allow yourself to still feel relaxed, but just bring yourself back into the room that you've chosen to sit in. And slowly and surely open your eyes. I wonder how that felt for you. I wonder if that's the first time or you were familiar with a safe place and where you could go and where you can make all your judgments from. When you have this safe place inside your body and you know what your energy feels like, you're able to use that place and go to that place when you need to feel relaxed. But also what I'm using it for very much with my clients is letting them know from that place that they can make their own decisions and that they can live their life without a diet, for example, and they can go there and actually find out and get the answers to what it is that their body needs. So this is just the start. This is just like a little door, a little window opening to just show you how easy it can be to get yourself into a relaxed place, so that you're not always thinking and analysing and stressing and measuring and judging, which is all head-centered energy. This is just a way to operate from your body, so that you are able to operate in this life without diets, this life without rules. I'd very much like to hear your experience, so we can go a little bit further with this. It's kind of one of the coolest things that I've come across, and the most helpful thing so far on my journey that I've come across, that allows me to just do things from a completely different place. When you can feel your own energy, and when you know what your energy feels like, it's so much simpler to make your own decisions. Yes, you can discover what it is that your body wants to eat, and you can discover what would be fulfilling for you, and you can discover your missing nutrient from this place, so that it's not something that you're thinking about or analysing from your head, but it's something that's coming from deep inside you to just say, oh, I just want this nourishment. And it'll also sort of prompt you to know where to go and find that piece of nourishment, so that we no longer look at it from a food aspect, or all our habits of looking outside of ourselves to try and find what we think is going to fulfill us. It's a very cool thing. I've actually used this. I've actually played with this in different respects as well. I have been building on my house over the last, I moved in a year ago, and last summer I was building a studio on the bottom of my house so that I could take people in to do private detoxes and help them through, things like this. And I had a lot of workers who were going to be coming. They were travellers, and they were going to be coming into the house. I've got 2 young boys, so I wanted to just find out if I could connect with them before they came, to find out whether they would fit in the house or not. And the cool thing was that, so I thought, okay, fine, I'll experiment. So the first guy replied, and he said, yes, I can come from these dates, and I'll stay with you for about 2 weeks or something. I think he said about 3 weeks in the end. And I thought, right, okay, so let me try and connect in with him. So I got into my place, I knew where I was, and I connected in with what I found, or I thought at the time, this is his energy. So do I feel he'd be a fit for this house? And do I feel that I would feel safe in my house with him here? And it was an unresounding yes. So he came, and we got on like a house on fire. He was a 25-year-old Australian guy, and just so easy to have around the place. And can you imagine, at the end of the day, when he's finished his daily work, he washes up the dishes and puts things away and tidies up, and he says, is there anything else I can do for you before I go to bed? And it was just, what a wonderful person. So I thought, right, okay, that was experiment number 1, tick, I've tried it and it's worked. So then somebody else wanted to come, and this was an older guy this time, and I thought, right, okay, well, I'll tune into my energy, and I'll see if I can pick up any differences and see what his energy feels like. So then I picked up his energy, and it's kind of like, yeah, okay, some things will be good, and some things not really my kind of person, but I wasn't getting a no, don't let him come. So I thought, right, well, here's my experiment, let him come, and we got on great. And yeah, there were some things that I didn't particularly, they didn't resonate with me, but they were fine for him, and his work was fine, and we got on great. And he kept himself to himself, and we had outings and we did some things together, and that was kind of cool as well. So then he left after a month and a half, I think, and then somebody else came. Again, it worked, and he was just a wonderful guy, and that's what I felt in his energy as well before he came. And I woke up one morning and he's fixing all the bikes. I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm just tuning up all your bikes and, you know, oiling them up and getting the chains all right, and you're all ready to go for a ride though, you know." And we have a spare bike, so he came with us as well, so that worked well. And then I had another guy come. He was a young American guy, and I thought, okay, I'll just keep trying. I'll try it again. And my whole energy went zzz, and I thought, well, maybe that's good. That was a very clear signal that it was just a very laid back kind of guy. So I invited him to come, and he came, and talk about laid back. he didn't work with the tools. He didn't have a particular skill, and I had to question him. I said, "Look, you know, of all the jobs that I asked you to be able to do, which ones can you do?" "Oh, I just thought I could pick and choose between them." You know, I'd make him lunch and he'd go and play his guitar and do his long meditation in the afternoon, and no work would get done at all. And I said, I think I'm going to have to ask you to leave, because we've obviously had a miscommunication here. But that was very clear to me then when I thought about his energy. His energy was just so laid back. He just had no agenda at all. And then when he left, we said our goodbyes, and I said, you know, whatever's gone on, it's been an interesting lesson for me. And he was just so cool with it. And he says, you know, what is. And then he left. He went off to his next place that he was going to do some work for. So I'm telling you this is it just, you can pick up people's energy as much as you can pick up your own energy and work out what foods are going to work for you. But I'm just telling you, it can be used on a much bigger scale. And this is what I love educating about and teaching about, because I just think it's so cool. Anyway, I've kind of digressed, and I know that I've got some questions to answer here. So let me try and find those. Okay, so questions for tonight. Okay, this is a question that I've had, yeah, not just once, but several times, and I'm going to answer it here because I know this lady's actually going to be watching tonight. She says, I followed a strict diet and exercise program, and I went once a week to like a boot camp morning fitness, and I did this for a year. And then I got to that I couldn't afford it. She couldn't afford it time-wise to carry on. And my weight is slowly but surely coming back. I've really tried hard to keep it up, but my life has changed. What can I do? I'm scared to stop trying because if that means I'm going to go back to my previous weight. Help. All right. The difficulty is that this lady doesn't seem to be able to do and maintain the weight loss and keeping fit and healthy in her terms, on her own schedule, on her own time. What I often find is that when people do a class, or when they are joined to a gym, not so much a gym because you're very much a solo player there, but when you are part of a team, you do so much better. My English is all over the place. You do so much better because you've either got a connection to the teacher and you've got a connection to the other people in the class. And certainly when there's a class, there's motivation and there's competition, and your own competition, let alone if you're competing against anyone else in the class environment. But you're competitive with yourself, and you watch your results, and you really are quite mindful about, oh, I've got my next class this week, so I don't want to jeopardize that. So what I often find is it's the connection that most people really value by doing things like that. So I would imagine that the first thing that this woman is actually missing, because she couldn't afford to do this time-wise anymore, that she's missing the camaraderie of actually going and doing these kind of exercises, boot camp exercises, and keeping to her diet on her own terms. What I find is that when you have come to a realization of why you're doing something on your own terms, rather than sticking to what somebody else is saying. So it's almost you've got a contract with yourself, and you are believing in yourself, and you're doing it for yourself. Then you've got a completely different energy around it. The whole perception is different. I'm not saying that you don't miss the connection, but I am saying that when you are connected to yourself, then you're able to do your morning routine. You've set up a contract with yourself, and then you don't really want to break that. It's like a love affair goes on, and you just want to be there for yourself. That's more of the energy than what goes on when you start being able to do things for yourself. So, for example, for a long time, I wasn't able to do any kind of exercise regime like yoga or something like that. For myself in the morning, I would have to go to a class. But you get like this lady, so getting to the class was just becoming more and more difficult for me time-wise. So I found that I didn't go anymore, and then probably for about 6 months, I didn't do any yoga. I walked, but I didn't do any yoga, and I really, really loved the feeling of the stretches and being able to get into those particular positions that I used to get into when I was like a teenager. And I really missed that. And then when I made a contract with myself and really on a regular basis started tuning in with myself, then I realized it was so much easier for me to get up in the morning and respect myself enough that I wanted to get on my yoga mat. And that's what really changed for me, that I connected with myself and I made a contract with myself. So I can understand what this lady is saying. Let's see if I made any other notes there. Maybe she needs to understand why she's doing what she's doing, find her own reasons inside herself that'll motivate her. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Now, I know you already, but I haven't worked with you for a while. So if there's something in particular you want to ask me about, then please give me an email, and we can arrange to just go through like a focusing session with you so that you can actually just get to your connection with your inner self. Maybe you can just let me know how you did tonight, and we can take that a little bit further. Right, let's see what other questions I've got here. Okay, I've been following raw and fermented food program, and I just wanted to say that I dropped 3 pounds already. Okay, all right. My stomach is less bloated, and I've noticed a change in my mood swings, and I didn't want to jinx anything by saying anything. Okay, question: is that due to my hormones balancing out? Yes, it's part of it. Can you explain what is actually happening to me? Okay, so I know what she's doing here. She's actually increasing her raw and her fermented food, because we had an email before, but this was her main question. So she's been increasing her raw and her fermented food on a physical level to reduce the bloating and the problems that she has in her digestion. So, and she also had hormone issues as well. So she was having hot flushes, and she was having skin irritations and mood swings and some depressions and things like that as well. And this it's just so common. It's just so sad that most people, myself included, didn't really realize that these are all the symptoms and this is what happens. The massive headaches and the sort of the hormones that are all moving and shifting around in the body. Now, when we stop producing hormones in our female sex organs, so like our ovaries and our womb and things like that, certain other organs take over the role of producing more hormones. I'm not saying that they don't produce hormones now, but they produce more of the hormones. So your kidneys, your liver, and your gut. Now, when you start balancing the gut bacteria, so you are putting in more enzymes, putting in more probiotics, then your hormones are able to be produced that much more efficiently by your gut. And then as your gut heals, so the liver can detox itself better, and so the kidneys can operate better as well. Kidneys, it's got a lot more to do with your energy, your worry, your anxiety, and your stress levels, not just to do with your gut bacteria. So it's very, very important that women at a certain age, like when we go into perimenopause or something like that, that we really take good care of our rest. So, for example, being in bed by 10 o'clock and not using the internet and things like that after a certain time, because they are stressful, and the quality of sleep becomes so, so important. So she asked me to explain exactly what was happening. So, okay, that's a general view. So the gut bacteria with the enzymes and the probiotics and everything is improving the gut health so much that the hormones are so much better and more able to work for us. And our bodies are so clever. They know how to balance out. They know which hormones to produce, how much of a hormone to produce for you. And you'll be different to your next door neighbor, and you'll be different to your best friend as well. So your body intuitively knows what is right for you and what level. So once you are operating in a what's the word? Once you're operating in a more optimum way, so, and the gut is just the foundations for that. Raw foods are fine, they're very fibrous, which is great because you need a lot of fiber in your diet. You can also add extra fiber in, like flax and psyllium. And when you've got fermented foods in there, the fermented foods are so full of enzymes and so full of probiotics that your gut bacteria and parasites and yeast infections and candida and things like that will just start to disappear. You may feel worse to start with. You may feel more bloated and have more digestion problems, diarrhea and constipation and things like that. But that's just the yeast and the candida and the parasites and the bad bacteria leaving. You know, I'm like a detox queen and a gut queen. So I've been teaching about how to clean your digestive system for a very, very long time. And I'm always very keen that people keep on going with like probiotics. But the best probiotics and the most potent probiotics that I've found are making your own. And these are fermented foods. And this is what I'm also teaching now as well, just on a very simple basis. I'm inviting people into my kitchen and I'm showing you how I do my cultured foods. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know, please, because this is what I'm here to do. If it's my main goal, two main goals, I just want to get you absolutely healthy, running on full power, and so that you are, you know, your hormones are better, you age better, you're more flexible, and your mental, you know, attitude is better, you're positive, you've got a, you know, less mood swings and all those kind of things. And certain foods that we eat and certain attitudes we have just make us grumpy, and who wants to be around somebody who's grumpy? All right, okay, so I'm nearly finished. Oh, this is a crazy question. I do get asked this quite a lot, actually, and there's a whole list of things that this particular girl has asked me. Okay, so what are your thoughts about, and then she lists them: detox patches, fat wraps, gastric bands, diet pills, diet shakes, things like the Cambridge diet and Weight Watchers. I've tried them all and more. All right, well, okay. My main answer would be they all have a place. And I know there's a market for each and every one of those. And unless you're ready to do things for yourself and take responsibility for yourself and not be looking to just lose the weight by taking a weight loss pill or a fat pill or a skinny pill or a slim pill, because those very well, you know, they may do something on a chemical level that allows you to lose weight. I'm dubious, but you've got no idea what are in those pills, and you've got no idea what they're going to do to you on a long-term basis. You've got no idea the chemicals that are in there and what they're going to do to your liver, what they're going to do to your kidneys, what you're going to do. It's like a medication. So, you know, all medicines have a side effect. So this is why, you know, when old people have all these medicines that they're taking, this one at 2 and this one at 4 and this one at 6, and you know, somebody really needs to sort of look at all the different medicines that they're taking for arthritis and cancer or whatever, and see how they work together. But nobody does know. Nobody knows. There's just this melange of capsules, these chemical concoctions that you've got no idea how one sparks or fires off on the other one. It's just incredible. And with these diet pills, I would have to say the same, that, you know, you've got no idea the long-term effects and what they're going to do. So I can imagine that if you're absolutely desperate, and I'm feeling the energy of anybody who does any of these things is out of desperation, as in the gastric band and things like that. I mean, I know if you're absolutely obese and massive and it's just making you the saddest person ever, I know some people who have used the gastric band, and for them it worked very well, but then they were terrified about getting, you know, taking it off. Because I think there's certainly, you need to be coached through other aspects of it, not just by, you know, quick fix, sort that out, and then I'm back to square one, because all the mental and all the emotional sides of eating are still there. Yeah, Weight Watchers is great as far as I'm concerned, because of the connection you get with other people who are doing, you know, similar things. You've got like-minded people who are doing the same thing, and Weight Watchers works because there is a community and there's somebody there helping you out. Though I'm not fond of the sort of the point system, but that's me. It works for some people, but I still think it's a very short-term thing. Some people have made it a longer-term thing, and they normally become the leaders because they're there in the public eye and they want to carry on, and probably because they've made a decision and a contract with themselves, inside themselves, which makes it work for them. Diet shakes, diet pills, the same. Gastric band, fat wraps. Yeah, detox patches and fat wraps. Yeah, same sort of question, really. I don't believe it pulls a great deal out, but again, you know, if you have some success with that, at some point you're going to have to work on the emotional side, on the mental side, and really making a contract with yourself and getting to know your own body as to find out what works for you best, rather than always going down the route of looking for what's available out there on the market to help you lose weight. It's an inside job. It's not something that you can buy or get somebody else to do for you. Okay, hope that answers that question. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to take you through a focus call. If you're watching this and it's really tickled you and you'd really like to find out more about how to get the inside job done and to live a life without diets, to use that as a phrase, to live without the rules of having to follow a diet or looking for all these different ways of doing things, then please give me a call and send me an email. I'll write it in the chat box here so that if you can read it, info@treatspirits.com. I've also got a new website that is slowly but surely coming together. FionaRobertson.co. There you go. Thank you very much for being with me tonight. I can feel my energy is very, very much slower than it normally is after doing that exercise with you. Enjoyed asking the questions. I've enjoyed taking you through the beginnings of what I call the body wisdom, so that you can actually understand for yourself what is going on and what is nourishing for you. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. I normally do these calls once a month, so I'll let you know when the next one is. Good night.